he's invincible, this, and that. No one before, during, or after him will ever be able to hold a candle to him. You're either that type of person, or you're, he was just an actor. He never really did anything tangible, blah, blah, blah. So you're either one or two schools. It's no real in between with that. So the purpose of this video is to try to bring people back to reality and bring them back to a middle ground and say that, yeah, some of these aspects were true, some of these other aspects were true. But let's look at it in a logical way and not put our feelings and our emotions into it, because, hey, he for the most part, Bruce Lee was the type of guy that he inspired fighters, whether you were a boxer or he was an inspiration to wrestlers. You understand what I'm trying to say? Just, everybody knows who Bruce Lee was. And a lot of people that became professional fighters or prize fighters or any kind of competitive fighter, will name him as a huge influence, and motivation and inspiration to do what they do. Okay, so we can't really take that away, and we're not trying to. We're just trying to educate people and throw some ideas around. Okay? But realistically, for the people that detract and say that he was just an actor and that he was a paper tiger, man, the dude was he was the real thing. You know what I'm saying? We don't have the actual major competition to just say, look, this proves it right here. But, from word of mouth and from the people that know the people and the people that are credible who really did this, all of them vouch for Bruce Lee. Now, like I said, it doesn't mean that he didn't take L's to people. It didn't mean that people could not break through his defense. It didn't mean that he couldn't get tagged in the face. It doesn't mean these things. It just means that at the end of the day, he was amazing, and everybody said, man, this dude is something else, which goes into my next point. Bruce Lee was your favorite fighter's teacher. At the end of the day, whoever your favorite fighter is, he either was directly taught by Bruce Lee. If he goes back to that time period, then he was influenced, taught by Bruce Lee, or he was taught by people who were taught by them, or who encountered him and learned some things, and they all want to say, I was his top student. So at the end of the day, if this dude really was just an actor or a paper tiger, then why all these people that really did it competitively sit here and hang on his every word and study his methods and study his techniques? There's a reason why. Okay, so a lot of people just detracting, and some of that's just hate, or they're just trying to, take the opposite side and formulate an argument, so they're just people that like to debate, a lot of times. Some of them really, really believe this stuff they saying, but man, it's no real, it doesn't hold too much weight, it's a shame that he didn't compete in the World Karate Champions as a competitive fighter, like Chuck Norris and Joe Louis and Superfoot Wallace and some of these guys, but he was still on those guys' level, and above their level. We'll just go on to say that, because it's true, because those people studied under Bruce Lee. So why would I study up under somebody if I feel like I'm a better fighter than them? And even then, there is a possibility that you could still study up on them if you feel like you're a better fighter, because at the end of the day, your thirst for knowledge and your pursuit for knowledge should not know any boundaries. So even if you feel like you're more skilled at something somebody else is, you still have the opportunity to learn. So you want to always be a lifelong student. Okay, getting back on track. Bruce Lee would have been a great MMA fighter in his weight class, okay? That's what I want to point out, which is going all the way back to the beginning. In his weight class, I believe that had Bruce Lee been in some kind of MMA, or even in, I would say, boxing, and just in American boxing, he would have probably been able to win a championship in his weight class, in the lightweight division, anywhere from lightweight to welterweight. I could see him holding the title at a certain point, okay, in one of those organizations. He'd be a very reputable boxer. If it was sport contact karate. I still could see him being a great champion in his weight class in sport karate. Okay. And he would probably, if he was, if MMA had been taken off or whatever, he had been able to get it started in his era, had he lived longer, he probably would have ended up being one of the greatest lightweight MMA guys out there. I mean, if BJ Penn and guys like this are considered the greats, then there's no doubt in my mind that Bruce Lee would not have eclipsed anything that they've done. Okay? But let's just keep it realistically in his weight class. You're not going to be taking out no heavyweights, not no top heavyweight, not no heavyweight champion. You're not going to do that. That's not going to happen, Bruce, even for you. Maybe in a combat street type situation, but not in a ring with rules and things that would limit your full range of your skills. If you limit Bruce Lee to 4 things, then you have a much better, heavyweight. It doesn't become, it tips the scales back in favor of the bigger man. Okay? And the last thing I want to leave y'all with is just because we like someone and admire their skill, we must be careful not to worship our athletes and immortalize them to where they transcend the sport or become bigger than the sport itself. When we do this, we become stagnant. We must always try to raise the bar higher than the previous standard. History has proven that eventually someone greater can and will come along. We must embrace that person with open arms. This can only be done by letting go of the notion that Bruce Lee is invincible, which is the main point I want to get across. First of all, we've created a thing that nobody before, during, or after Bruce Lee can hold a candle to him. And the reality is that we may actually be in the presence of that guy to take martial arts to the next level, but we won't even accept him as the one because we still holding Bruce Lee at that level. We got to look at this stuff realistically. Great champion, great fighter, his accomplishments, great. Okay, cinematic, on a whole nother level. Visionary, created his own art. Like I said, laid the groundwork, the template for what we call MMA now. Okay, he did all of these things, and he deserves nothing but the utmost respect. But man, we got to evolve, and we got to continue to move forward. And we're not going to move forward if we still trying to compare. And it's like hard, like for Asian guys, every Asian martial artist that, especially if he does movies, that's pretty good, always draws a comparison to Bruce Lee. At some point, man, that's a lot of pressure. Just like they still trying to find somebody to replace Michael Jordan. It's all right to transcend the sport. That's what you want to do, is transcend the sport to a point to where you become bigger than just a boxer, a basketball player, a football player, or whatever it is you do. And you venture off into acting, you venture off into modeling, you venture off into politics or becoming an activist for human rights or things of those nature. Nobody's discrediting that. But when you become bigger than the sport, to where now the sport revolves around you, then it makes us stagnant and we can't grow. And the truth of the matter is, if we let things take its course, somebody gonna come along and take it to another level. And hopefully that person have not already stepped on the scene. I don't think he has. But when he does come on the scene, stop hating and let the dude go on and be who he's supposed to be. And let's just accept him as the great one. Always remember Bruce. His shirt says, fear is for others. Okay, you don't see the other part. But yeah, man, that's a good thing to live by. Peace out, fight fans. One love.